Hey listeners, you're listening to the Midnight Readers podcast. Grab some tea, a midnight snack, and cuddle up in bed as we dive deep into today's popular fantasies, sci-fi, and mysteries. We're your hosts. I'm Lily.
I'm Brittany.
And I'm Christy.
This season, we're stepping into 3 standalone worlds. Right now, we're diving into a gothic historical mystery filled with secret societies, obsessive research, and enough old documents to make our resident archivist and historian feral. That's right. Grab your passports and wooden stakes. We're hunting Dracula.
Some people inherit family heirlooms, some inherit generational trauma, and some inherit a centuries-old mystery involving vampires, and apparently this podcast. Welcome to a world of dusty archives, midnight research sessions, and the kind of obsession that starts with curiosity and ends with you crossing international borders asking questions that might just get you killed.
In this episode, we'll be discussing The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova, chapters 1 through 12, where our narrator discovers a book in her father's library that makes us question if history is more alive than we thought.
Before we get into it, this is your warning for major spoilers ahead. This includes all 3 standalone novels we'll be covering this season and any fan discussions we find online. We're also avid fans of the Moss universe and might accidentally let spoilers slip for other popular romantasy book series as well. Sorry in advance, like the books, this podcast is rated R, so be warned.
Also, a friendly reminder to please like, subscribe, and follow. You can find us on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and YouTube. And if you want some bonus content and behind-the-scenes chaos, join our growing community on Patreon.
All right, so to get us started tonight, I know you guys kind of wanted to talk about your experience with the audiobook as well as the style of writing. And Lily, if you would like to start.
Yeah, so I think when we first started reading this book, Brittany messaged us and was like, oh, I don't know if I can do the audiobook this time. And normally I do either an audiobook or an ebook. I was considering getting a physical book for this one just because I want to hold the thick book. But
we like big books.
All I got was the ebook and the audiobook.
Cannot lie.
It's a trope.
I had forgotten that I had already bought the audiobook because right before I canceled my Amazon subscription out of protest, I had a couple of credits left over and I knew we were going to be reading this book, so I must have purchased it. And I'm glad I purchased the right one because apparently there's an abridged version and an unabridged version. And the abridged version has more narrators and more like involvement, but the unabridged is, I think, just the 2 that we have. What's her name?
Justine Eyre.
I think she's the one on the unabridged. And first of all, I want to say you're correct. The first, I don't know, maybe like 15 or 20 minutes. I don't know what's going on with her voice, but I was having a hard time.
It was like it short-circuited my brain. I love her. I have so many books that she has narrated, and I couldn't handle it. I was like, ugh, I'm going to have to listen to it while having the words in front of my face in order for any of this to actually stick in my brain.
Yeah, I actually started listening to it the same way because I thought it might be a faster way for me to read it. Once I got a few chapters in, I felt like it leveled out a little bit more and I didn't have the problem that I had at the beginning. I don't know what it is, but it was just kind of uncanny.
I don't know. I mean, the book is 20 years old, so maybe they weren't so great at editing a while ago.
I don't know. A little off about it. You know what? We're not ones to fucking talk about editing problems.
I know.
Audio issues.
Our last 2 episodes, my audio got screwed up and it was horrible. But
well, I think for this particular book, I love it because of the description of it, because at least for me, it kind of takes me to another place. But I know we had recently seen a TikTok video that was on this particular subject, that apparently there's a lot of people that only read the dialogue, which if you read this book with just that.
Yeah.
That is nuts. I'm sorry. If you only read the dialogue, you're not reading the book.
You're missing half the book, at least half the book.
You're reading parts of the book.
How do you not know how do you know what's going on? Like,
that's like you're missing the context of the entire book. And I was telling Johan that so far I'm enjoying it. I like the scenery, but there are times that I'm like, oh, this is just a lot of description. And I'm struggling to decide if it's important description or if it's not. But she is a beautiful writer. I like her writing style. It's just a little extra. She's definitely a historian. No, I'm just kidding.
Now, Lily, are you reading it at all, or are you just doing the audiobook?
I'm doing both, actually.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is also our first epistolary read. So I do think that fits the historian theme of the book very well.
Does it count as an epistolary account if the whole story is not based on documents? I mean, like, there is documents in it. It's thematically epistolary.
So I only learned this word when I was working at my original library, and I had to cover book club for somebody who got sick, and their theme was, I'm going to say epistolary because that's
however you need to say it.
And so that was my first introduction to them. And when I looked at this one, I did see that it was labeled epistolary on Goodreads, I think it was. But I don't know the rules to what constitutes what makes up a.
I was just wondering. Genre. I was just curious. I was like, what exactly constitutes that? But it doesn't matter.
I know the story is partially told with the letters, so I think to me that
it fits.
Fit.
Okay.
Ooh, before, like, there's a quote from Bram Stoker's Dracula at the beginning, and the only thing that really stood out to me about it was all needless matters have been eliminated, and I was like, does that mean everything's important?
Yes, it does.
Maybe in Bram Stoker's Dracula, but not in Elizabeth Kostova's The Historian, because no way all needless matters have been eliminated from this book, okay? Anyway.
Moving on.
All right, so here we go. So we start out with a note to the reader, and we're introduced to our narrator, who is at this point 52, and she is bequeathing the reader with her history and her story. And she thanks those that helped her, which kind of makes this part a little bit easy to overlook as the author's thank you, as the way it's written. But it tells us that her years following the story were relatively quiet, but she alludes to the fact that many people lost their lives. So this kind of sets the tone for the rest of the book. And in my opinion, it gives it kind of a historical feel, like you're about to read a true story, which I loved.
Mm-hmm.
So as the story opens, we meet the narrator, and she's reflecting back to when she was 16, and we find her and her father living in Amsterdam. Her father's a widower and a single parent, which is initially why we think he's overprotective, but could something else play into that? And she begins by telling the reader that she's typically an obedient child, which is kind of an odd thing to point out.
Yeah.
But
also, I'm sorry, but what 16-year-old is an obedient child? Especially like preacher's kids. They go wild. The more sheltered you are,
but
the
he's
crazier
not a
you get. The more it's not about being a preacher. It's the more sheltered you are, the wilder you get.
But she's not technically sheltered because
she's only allowed to go to specifically approved things and with specifically approved friends.
She's a little sheltered.
Correct. But it's also because, one, maybe what he knows about other things, but he also takes her along. So she knows a lot about the world in and of itself. So maybe that's...
But not until she's 16. She said she had to beg.
For traveling? I think sometimes she did still go, but I think on this one, she did beg to go with him for that first trip so that she could get...
I could see that.
The story, but... So she's in her father's library, and she becomes curious about something that she sees on the top shelf, which is an old book, and it contains a letter that's addressed to my dear and unfortunate successor. And after finding that letter, that's when she pushes her father to let her accompany him on his next trip, which he agrees to. And during that trip, she tells him she's found the book and asks him about it, and he agrees to tell her. But we see quickly that he cannot tell the story all at once, that it's in pieces, and we get the story through the narrator's eyes, her father's eyes, as well as other people occasionally. But let's kind of start with chapter 1. The narrator says she's shy and doesn't generally like people, which I relate to. What did each of you think about our narrator and her life, and do you think she's a reliable narrator?
She starts off by saying she was motherless, and I was like, same, dog. Me as well. Not in the same way, but same.
Yeah, I just, for me, and I know this is my bias, but I think every teenager goes through a rebellious stage.
Most of them.
I've never met anybody who hasn't had at least a small rebellious phase.
Going after Dracula is not rebellious?
Yeah, I think she's in the middle of it right now.
Yeah. Yes. Although in terms of rebellion, you also noted too that she got down a translation of the Kama Sutra as well.
Dude, I thought the papers she was looking at was the Kama Sutra. I was like, wow, okay. I see you, girl.
Yeah, I was like, okay. You have that in your office.
Mm-hmm.
Important reading material.
Correct.
I said, girl, your father is up to no good.
But also,
he put it right next to the dragon.
I wanted to talk about the fact that she has no name.
Yeah.
Why? Like, even when she goes to meet Paolo and... Is it Paolo?
Paolo is the name that
of Paul,
her father's friend, gives her.
Massimo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gives her father.
Massimo.
Yeah.
When she goes meet him and his wife, they call her, "What about you, daughter?" Who talks to people like that? Just say her name.
Might be more common in different languages, but I do think it's intentional that we don't get her name. I think it's...
Oh, I think it's intentional. I just feel like, why?
Well, to me, my question is that maybe we're not given her name because we're supposed to question who is the quote-unquote historian. Like, is it the daughter? Is it her father? Is it Mr. Rossi? Is it all of them? Maybe her name is the unimportant part. It's like the story, and she's immersed in it, maybe. Or maybe she doesn't want to be known.
I don't know.
Yeah, true. I mean, that could be it. I think it definitely is an intentional piece on the narrator's, or not the narrator, on the author's part to kind of highlight the story. Because I think even with your other people, if you notice, it seems like they are kind of like named and referenced very little.
Yeah.
I mean, they are, but the story in and of itself seems to be more of the focus. So once she finds the letter, and I mean, to me, I would go right to my dad and be like, what the hell is this? This is insane.
I'm not sure I would do that.
Yeah. I would definitely read it in secret the way I read
definitely
books that my parents were not, like, banned me from reading. I read those in secret.
See, you had parents that actually didn't let you do things like that. Like, didn't read, you weren't allowed to read certain books, weren't allowed to watch certain things, right?
Yeah.
And I know other people who were like that, but it's funny to me that I had a religious family, but they never did that to me. And even if they did, I would have read them anyway, but that always fascinates me. Like, it's like, why ban anything like that when that will just make the child more interested?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't get the feeling from him that he really bans her for stuff. It's almost like he is wanting to keep everything safe and inside a little circle, but inside that bubble, he's willing to answer her questions. He's willing to tell her things that are more adult, but it just seems more. And I guess once you start to understand his story, you might understand why he's a little more careful with her, that it isn't just a simple overprotective father.
Yeah. I mean, he's uncomfortable with talking about it. He has to break up the story of this book over the course of like weeks, it feels like.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's over the course of years.
It's what it feels like.
Is it years?
I don't think so. I don't think in the end it is, but it does feel that way because it seems like that, because I think it starts to get faster.
It does get faster, but like it goes from like you're in one season for one part of the story and then in another season for another part of the story and in another like it and for me, it was funny because she was like, he always stops when I don't want him to stop. He like gets to a perfect part. And
that's what I was saying.
I was like, he's edging you, honey.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, this is story edging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely really dramatic in how she does it. And like you guys talked about, there is a lot of scenery in this. It is a lot of like world building, not so much character related, but a lot of world building.
There was a lot of church viewing and monastery viewing, which I know that's
Europe for you.
I know that's popular, but I don't understand why.
Well, it's not so much just popular. I think more of hers and why she does it is because for Vlad Țepeș, it was incredibly important to him.
Well, so far
with the monastery for him, that was a big thing that he would go there, right. Like he would go to battle and come back and go to that monastery and give them tons of money because he felt like that was paying for his soul. But yeah, you can't really buy your way out. But
I figured there was a connection.
Catholics think you can.
Sorry. I figured there was a connection to the monastery because of that story. But as far as the other churches, I just felt like, why are we doing this?
Well, he mentioned something a little bit later that we'll kind of get to in more detail. But at one point, he basically tells her that I think it's Saint Matthew. I may be saying it wrong. There may be a fancy way of saying it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In that
Saint Matthew
monastery?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But when they go in, he tells her something to the effect of, it seems like it's peaceful, but it's really not. And there's a lot of wickedness here too. And so,
well, I mean, if that story is to be believed, a vampire changed somebody else, and then that vampire started munching on his brothers. So,
yeah.
But we'll kind of talk a little more about the religious aspect because I do want to go into it further. And then I want to get your take on kind of where she goes with it. But at this point in the story, she finds a letter. She asks him if she can go with him, and he allows her to. And they arrive at Emona. And so the narrator says that's the name as she's giving it to avoid tourists, using it as a doom guidebook. But kind of based on the description and location, it should be situated near Ljubljana.
The capital.
Ljubljana.
The capital.
of Slovenia. Thank you, Julian Miguel, for the pronunciations. I YouTubed that shit because I want to butcher that.
No, I just think still gonna fuck some shit up.
I just think it's funny, the avoiding tourism, and this happens to be the capital of a country.
It is. Well, she doesn't name it in the book. She names it. I was just looking up some of these places. I know some are real and some are not that she lists. But they end up in this little town, and then she tells him about the book. And at that point, that's when we move into him telling the story. And he tells her the story of how he came into possession of the book and of his friend, Professor Rossi, who inherited a book earlier with the same dragon. And Rossi did some initial research and tells Paul, the father, that he thinks that Vlad Țepeș or Dracula is still alive. And we're also kind of given some of the history of Vlad Țepeș III and Wallachia, which is how you're supposed to say it in Romanian, or Wallachia in English. Again, Julian Miguel, thank you.
My thing, I was wondering, like, okay, so this book mysteriously shows up in his stuff. Did somebody, like, my thoughts were like, did somebody leave it? Or is it a magic book that just shows up?
Yes.
It's the one chooses the user kind of thing.
Yeah. That is what I assumed.
And then when we find out that the professor also has a copy, I was like, so is it one book, or does it duplicate itself? Or is there like one original book and this is like it's duplicating itself out to people? What's the purpose of this book? all these
And
thoughts.
why are they receiving it if he doesn't want to be found? Because Professor Rossi goes down this crazy journey. He goes all the way to Istanbul. He does the research. He tries to find the story behind it. He gets there, and then he's turned around by a mysterious man who's like, you're not supposed to have these things. So,
yeah.
But that's assuming that the book reaches them via Dracula and not like some other entity.
What?
So that was my thought. I was like, is there two entities at work here? Is the book one and Dracula the other, or is Dracula distributing the book? Or I'm so confused at this magic system.
It's just interesting to me, because if people are receiving the book in the idea that they're supposed to research it and find him out, you're putting them in harm's way. And this also puts like a target on them. Clearly, we see what ends up happening with Professor Rossi, we think, and his poor friend Hedges.
Yeah. Which also made me wonder, because I was like, if you don't want them to find you, why not just kill everybody who has the book? Instead of warning them by their friends, killing their friends.
I was like, why wouldn't you just kill Professor Rossi? But does the book protect you? I don't know.
I didn't think about that.
Well, protect you or just go to the next in line. Kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer with, maybe the next Slayer is chosen by the book.
Yeah. They also
I did have a thought when they were talking about the map. I was like, and there was like something about like say the word and he'll be free or something like that. And I had a moment of, is this a Buffy the Master situation? And is Dracula trying to get free of his tomb? Is he locked in there, and somebody has to go and find him? Or is he out and maybe they have to put him back? I don't know. But I had all these questions.
I also want to know, why are the pages blank? And if they're all blank, why has nobody tried to draw in them?
Seriously.
My first thought is Tom Marvolo Riddle. Start writing in that bitch.
That's what yes.
I did not have that thought. I had that's a bunch of wasted paper thought.
Pretty.
Well, or what is it that people used to do, like lemon juice or something that would bring up the words?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Lemon juice and heat, right?
Mm-hmm. So like a hidden message that's in there.
Has somebody tried that?
I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's a good question. I think Professor Rossi and Paul is the dad, which I don't even think I picked that up. I think I just thought Massimo ascribed a random Italian name to him. But anyway, so Paul and Dr. Rossi, when he first tells Dr. Rossi that he found this, and Dr. Rossi like reluctantly gives him the story, I think he says something like, it looks like the contents ate themselves, or like something like that. And I was like, what an odd thing to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, even later on, once he describes the book, when Rossi goes back to England, right when Hedges is coming up, and he says it actually smells like rotted meat. Like it stinks.
Yeah, I was like,
awful.
Ew. And
which, if
why
it's
did you not smell that before?
Yeah, that. But if it's made from animal and it hasn't been treated, if it's a really old book, I could see it smelling maybe not amazing. But usually when you make a book like that, you treat it in a way that it doesn't have that smell anymore. So why does it smell like dead flesh? Ew.
I mean, unless it's humans, too. Just saying.
Yeah, could be.
Which I don't actually know. Let me clarify that I don't remember how this book ends. So this is kind of like a new read for me as well.
I will say Dr. Rossi, if he regularly studies medieval books, then he should know somewhat kind of the paper. And if it's not vellum or something vellum-like, then he should immediately be able to tell. But he doesn't really say that. He just says, could be vellum, I think, or something like that, and then moves on.
I wonder if the ink has blood in it.
That'd be crazy.
That can also make a smell.
Possibly, although would it smell that much later?
Probably
I don't think, I don't know if that would, but I'm going to kind of
supernatural blood, maybe.
I don't know. You think that would at least you would have the benefit of like non-stinky blood. You're supernatural.
Well, that dude in Istanbul stank too. Just
See, I didn't actually know on that piece because I kind of felt like Dr. Rossi's description of him was so like racist. I mean, he really like
it's a little weird.
He
calls him swarthy.
Yeah, unwashed, but then he talks about his waxed hands.
It's like, all right, you're an Englishman. We fucking get it.
I mean, I don't know. It was just like anything and everything he could use to degrade this person. It was a little
yeah.
I didn't remember that part.
It's a little questionable.
Oh yeah. I definitely wasn't much of a fan of Rossi's after that. But I'm going to skip over chapter 3 just because
I didn't even write notes for that.
It's basically just in between chapter, short.
He pretty much just avoids her after that.
Yeah.
He's like, I know I have to tell you this story, but I don't know.
I'm gonna make it hard.
There is one thing I want to bring up from chapter 3.
Okay.
But I think on the train, she's looking out and she sees a woman in old clothing or old style clothing, and the dad goes, "Ghost woman." And I was like, "Ghost woman or vampire? Renfield? Is this one of the people watching them?" Because then they're obviously being watched. That's okay. So when the guy came in to get the map from Rossi, I was like, "This is Dracula. Yeah, he's coming in. This is Dracula." And then he had the little bite marks on his neck, and I was like, "So Renfield, Dracula's Renfield."
I did also have the thought Dracula already, and then I was like, "No, that's not." No, this is just a thrall or something of his.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because I don't think Dracula would stoop to doing his own work in this sense.
Fair.
I don't think it would be, as fun as staking people. So even then, I think he actually did that. It was more watching.
True.
But as we move into chapter 4, Paul begins to tell his daughter more of the story, including Rossi's trip to Istanbul and the strange man that took his research. And how then Rossi goes back to England and for the time being drops the research into Dracula, which is crazy to me to think that somebody that is at that level of research, and I get he's scared, but would literally just drop everything and stop researching it is insane to me.
Yeah, I don't think I could drop that. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
I want to point out that we're 3 obsessive people, but I also agree that I would never be able to drop it. Never.
Mm-mm. No.
It's funny because
hyper focus.
In my notes, I was like, take the hint, sir. You should leave. But I didn't say
don't
drop the research.
Yeah. Don't stop.
I just said,
just leave.
He's trying to kick you out. You need to leave. But don't stop.
Although
he did take the hint.
It was interesting the way he described coming to Greece was perfect in every single way.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as he went to Istanbul, it was almost like the rest of the whole thing was just disaster after disaster after disaster. It was not going to go right. And it made me wonder, like, does Dracula have control of the weather? Can he influence people?
Probably.
I mean, bad luck.
He can shapeshift. Can he shapeshift into a bat, a wolf, other people? Can he make people see things that aren't there? Because obviously this guy showed up and nobody saw him come in. And I'm just like,
true.
What are?
I think it's that thrall though. That he can thrall people, so he can tell you what you know.
Yeah. What are his powers?
True.
He's got a lot of powers. He does.
I do applaud him, however, for trying to write down what he remembered as quickly as he could, because maps are not a joke. And if you do not have the original, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine.
Yeah. Especially with all the notes that were on it.
Yeah.
I did love Rossi's statement of anyone who pokes around in history long enough may well go mad.
Sure, yeah.
I thought that was fabulous.
Once you learn a little too much.
I mean, the evil of people.
That's why I'm crazy.
Well, and two, and I can't remember. So some of, because he was saying on some of the notes and things like that he felt like that the people that were writing on the maps were doing it based on their visions of that area. And some of them were
Pig stealing town.
pig stealing village. What? Apparently, I feel like they apparently had a little bit of a sense of humor in there. But this is where we have that reader unbury him with a word.
Yeah. That was such an interesting phrase because I would be scared. I would be scared immediately because he read that shit out loud. And my first thought would be, oh God, he did it already. Oh no. He's already done it. He unleashed him. I don't know what unbury him with a word could intend. You know what I mean? Like, is it a word he hasn't spoke? Or is it just being able to read what's there?
It does seem like, I don't know, maybe Dracula has supernatural hearing, but if he says it out loud, consequences tend to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it could also be symbolic. It's like acknowledging that that his tomb is there, in a way, is acknowledging that he existed and therefore reviving the memory of him and reviving him in symbolism, right? So it could be nothing. It could be nothing. It could not be magic, but I don't know.
Well, the first thing that popped into my head was the Lord of the Rings, say friend and the door will open.
Yes, mine too, actually. It's like the evil version of that.
Well, what does it have on there but Dracula? But it also, one thing I didn't think of, and I need to go back and look at, is that when we see Rossi later on, and he does actually start to read the book before Hedges gets there, does he say something? Does he have any dialogue before Hedges gets there that could contain the word? Because right after that is when the consequences start.
I think he says it's a map out loud. If I remember correctly, or something like that.
I don't even remember.
When he makes the connection about the dragon being the shape of the map.
Mm-hmm.
I think he said something like that out loud. And that's why I was like, does Dracula have supernatural hearing? Because he's sitting there watching him, obviously, and letting him do all this research. But as soon as he makes a connection that's and then vocalizes it, and it's like, I'm going to kill your friend. Okay.
It's like Candyman. Or what's the other one? What's that old one that you say it in the mirror like 3 times?
Bloody Mary.
While you were saying that, Brittany, I was reading your note for chapter 5 that says, impaled up the ass, huh? No wonder this is Christy's pick. I was trying so hard not to laugh while you were talking.
Oh, yeah.
That's messed up.
That made me laugh. Oh my God.
Oh, but yeah.
It's the original. It's the original dildo, right?
Oh. No, not a good one. Not a good one. No, not the same.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But I don't recall if he said anything personally, but maybe he did.
I think, if I remember correctly, and I could be remembering this wrong, but I thought he said, I didn't realize that I said that out loud, but I said it out loud, or something like that.
Oh, maybe he did say something. I'm gonna have to go back. That was chapter 4? No, that's later. That's
yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. No, it's later. It's when Hedges comes in that he goes back to it, he says it, and then the consequences, because he makes it a point to say that the consequences start immediately.
Yeah.
So in the next chapter, we start to see that the narrator is doing her own research and finding things that are a little beyond what she's expecting. And so at this point, we start getting some of the real history of Vlad Țepeș III. But we also meet some of my favorite people at this point, which are Paul's friends and former colleagues, Massimo. And I'm assuming that's pronounced Julia.
Yeah, I think it's Julia, at least in English. It probably still is.
Yeah. And then, so Massimo gives a little too much information on Rossi during the dinner. And which is kind of odd because of all the information her dad gave her, he neglects to tell her that Rossi disappeared under weird circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
He forgot to tell her that slightly minute detail.
Yeah, no big deal. It's not important.
One thing I did want to note here that I really liked that she points out when she is doing her research is that she says something to the effect of her father neglects to tell her that history's terrible moments were real.
But then she's also like,
Girly pop.
I realized that he could have never told me that because you have to learn it for yourself.
Right. But I felt like that statement is really true because you see where people can watch true crime or read history and not truly understand that it's real and that a victim went through that.
That's true.
And so Travis, he loves board games. And, years ago, he brought home a bunch of board games that he'd bought and he was so excited and we were going to play them. And one was called something like Letters from Whitechapel.
Oh.
And it was about Jack the Ripper. And I was like, oh, hell no. I am not playing a game based on somebody's horrific end. Like, fuck that. No. And so.
That's fair.
Yeah. So I think that really, when she said that, I to me, at least that made me think of that situation. And I thought that was really impressive for a kid of 16 to kind of recognize that.
Yeah.
Well, I think at some point everyone has that realization. Maybe it doesn't hit everyone until you've read something really awful. I don't know.
Or that something really awful happens to you.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's a big problem, isn't it, in our society?
Yeah.
Very much so. But that's one thing I liked about this book is it doesn't romanticize Dracula. Well, it doesn't romanticize Vlad Țepeș. I feel like it does a really good balance of talking about, okay, yes, he held off the Ottoman Empire. And if you've ever looked at a map of what like his country versus what the Ottoman Empire, the size difference and the fact that he held them off was amazing.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't romanticize him. He is incredibly cruel. And it highlights that in here, just how cruel he is. And so I thought that was a really good thing that it does.
Yeah, I did not know about the 400 boys burned for learning a language. Some of these stories I have heard in the past from other books, but there was, and I obviously couldn't find, not that I really looked it up. I just haven't come across that story because I've read a lot about Vlad in the past, especially since I read And I Darken, which is a gender bend of his story.
Interesting.
And I wanted to see how accurate that story was. So I read his story while reading that book. And I did not come across the 400 boys. I did come across the turbans being nailed to the head, the servant who said it stank, which, I'm sorry, if you're gonna impale people, do it away from your house. Why do you gotta live with that?
He enjoyed it.
Why do you gotta live with that stink?
No. He loved it though. He would have dinner out there during the impalings and eat while it was happening. It was a show.
Well, I mean, if it's during, that's fine, but they start, not that that's fine. But, but it's when they die and rot that they start to stink.
I think he enjoyed the visual of it. I think
he wasn't a normal person.
No, he was sick and depraved. I mean, he definitely was. Although when you really look at any of the leaders back then, anyone in that level, were any of them kind? Were any of them not cruel?
For real. I mean, think about, so Vlad II was captured by the Ottoman Empire, and in order for him to be released, he had to leave Vlad III and Radu behind as hostages to ensure Vlad II's good behavior. And he still got pressured by his people into attacking the Ottoman Empire, which could have then forfeited his children's lives. And actually ended up with him dying and his eldest son Mircea dying because the governor person felt like he gave up too easily.
I mean, I know Vlad Dracula hated his dad. I think he had absolutely no respect for him.
I mean, if my parents left me to be a hostage and then betrayed, like put my life in danger and betrayed the agreement, I'd be pretty pissed too.
I think more of his was because he wanted his dad to fight back. I think he felt like he was weak and not living up to Order of the Dragon is why he ultimately hated him.
That was not my impression.
So yeah,
But I'm also influenced by fictional books that I've read, so.
I was about to say, I think a lot of that detail is ascribed to them later on, and we wouldn't be able to know.
So next we move into Rossi's disappearance, where he goes up and he talks to Rossi in his office and then leaves. And as he's leaving, he gets the feeling that he shouldn't leave, like he should go back. But
I was like, trust your gut. If you get those feelings, you trust your gut, especially if you're in a book.
True. True.
Very, very much. Very much so. And there are actually 2 others that follow him out. And so when he goes out, all the lights go out. And
I was like, oh, the street lights are out. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, it also kind of sounds like all the people disappear as well. And he's by himself, which would that not be pointed out?
I know. And then as soon as the lights come back on, then there's all of a sudden people laughing and walking around. I was like,
yep. Well, except those 2 are gone.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. And we never hear from them, although I assume the police checked their alibi and his alibi.
I would assume so too, because the way he talks about them is he knows them and he's willing to give them an alibi in exchange for theirs because he saw them and they saw him. So, I don't think they're actually part of the story. It's just kind of an odd, I don't know, almost like maybe he thralled him, stopped time for him at least. But then at that point, Rossi ends up finding out that he has disappeared. He goes back to his office, and that's where, the police are already kind of searching. He goes in. They bring him in to look around. He doesn't really see anything except for blood, which the smear on the ceiling is pointed towards
the missing book.
One of Rossi's missing book. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
which made me wonder, because I was like, how did I wonder if Dracula is waiting for him to pass on the information and then he can kill him. Like maybe the book was, I don't know if the book was protecting him or whatnot, if it's not a Dracula force, but maybe as soon as he handed over the information, he became vulnerable. I don't know. But I was like, his information got stolen.
Yeah.
And he disappeared, yet Paul's information is still there in his library and didn't get stolen.
But it hasn't been opened yet either.
Well, once when daughter finds it, I don't know what else to call her. When daughter finds it, it has been opened.
Well, right. But he doesn't open it until after this. So after this is when he goes and he actually starts opening and reading the letters after Rossi disappears. So that could actually be true, that somehow the book at that point is passed to him and now he would be the next target.
So, but my thing is does that mean that after you pass on your information, you die? Like that's when you're allowed to die? Like you don't, as long as you don't pass on your information, you can be safe.
I don't know. I mean, could it be that Rossi was also looking into more information now that he had asked about it and that's what got him killed?
I don't know.
That was kind of my thought.
Because it's literally like 2 seconds after he walks out of at least that's the way it felt. Like he walked out of the building and then boom, he's dead or missing.
He told Paul about what he found. So why waste time? He's an end.
Yeah.
He's an
open end.
He's a liability.
Yeah, he's a liability that needs to be cut off.
Yeah.
I think with Paul, at least, we don't know yet, but with Paul, he is not keen to share that information. He can't even tell his daughter, really. And he might be okay right now. We don't know, at least at this point in the story, if he's got like a method for protecting himself or not, but he still doesn't want to talk about it.
Could he have come to some agreement with Dracula?
Maybe? Why would you say that?
I don't know. Again, I'm just guessing right now too, because it's been so long since I've read this. I don't remember the ending.
If you say so.
So, I mean, perhaps he came to some understanding.
I was about to say, are you trying to gaslight us?
I'm really not. I promise you.
I was like, is this some weird hint?
No. You know, I like my wild theories.
Definitely true, you do. I don't know yet, but I do think he's figured out some way to at least avoid him.
Yeah.
I will say the amount of times that the narrator describes the wine that the dad is drinking as like blood red. And I was like,
I know.
Is he drinking
is
blood?
Is he already?
Is he?
I know. I know. I had the same thought. I was like, is he a thrall? Is he a vampire? What's going on? But he's eating food. So
and out in the sunlight.
Yep. So,
but
I don't know.
You would,
but he could be a thrall.
Yeah, I was gonna say thralls can be out in the sunlight, can't they? And
I guess there's so many different vampire rules.
And have we verified? Like, they talk about how the Dracula book says things about vampires, but Rossi's like,
right.
Is it true?
Basically, he calls it crap. Stoker's Dracula crap, which I absolutely adored. I'm so glad.
And which, by the way, I have not read the actual Dracula either.
Neither have I.
I know he talks about it, which...
It's just letters, the whole fucking book.
Really?
Just like, just journal entries, yeah.
I heard that he doesn't even show up in the actual book. It's called Dracula, and he doesn't even show up in the book.
It's very little. So Jonathan Harker's part is like itty bitty, and that's the only interesting part. Most of it is fucking, what is it, Lucy? I think Lucy. And you just want to kill her. I want her to die soon. Like, she's obnoxious.
Oh
So we don't know the actual rules for the vampires in this world.
Mm-mm.
I think he says at some point that they have to kill between sunrise and sunset, or was that...
That was part of Stoker's. That was...
Okay.
So she's, at this point, she is, and Rossi somewhat did go by Stoker's rules because, and I would like to go back and look this up, she says that he actually looked up Stoker's research.
Right.
Into Dracula to see how much of it actually could have, would have been accurate and how much is just kind of crap. But
like the garlic.
Yeah.
Right.
Because why does garlic repel vampires?
Who knows?
Was that the one where it was like stick it in their mouth? I mean,
yeah.
Put it in their mouth and then like mom, like so they eat it.
That's a death ritual. I forgot. Never mind.
Well, there's also like historically, like vampirism was also associated with like disease as well.
Yeah. Well, there was also the accidentally burying somebody alive.
Mm-hmm.
Them not decaying as fast as they think that the body should decay.
But as we move into chapter 7, they go on another trip where they go to a restaurant and
the monastery story.
So I was a little confused on this part because they called him the restaurant manager, but then the maitre d'. I think it's the restaurant manager that actually tells the story, isn't it?
I don't think so. I think it's the maitre d'.
That talks about the founding of the town?
Yeah. Which I thought was interesting because he says, I'm the historian around here. And I was like, you, the waiter? It's possible, but okay.
Okay, so maybe that's why I thought it was the manager that actually started telling the story. But what cracks me up is when he talks about the monks and being found dead and they were found in the cloisters. The cloisters are very beautiful. You will love them all.
Yeah. They all died in there, but it's so pretty.
He's being so dramatic.
I had that same thought. I was like, he literally just said, yeah, all these people died in there, but it's so pretty. You will love it.
That's my type of trip. I'm just saying. Sounds right up my alley.
I did like her statement in here about Vlad, that she lists him as a character that refuses to die as a historical presence, which I thought was right on target. Because again, when we go back to looking at like how many other leaders at that point were cruel, were horrible, were whatever, and yet we know his name above all others.
I mean, it's usually the ones that are the most horrific that stick in our mind. You got Vlad, you got Hitler, Attila the Hun.
But Mehmed II was just as cruel and just as gruesome.
But not as flashy.
Was he just as flashy and visual about it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they would do like pikes of like whoever they conquered, they would do pikes of their heads to hang up to put out for everybody to see. So yeah, no, there was some sick shit. But
maybe the case is that history wants to be buried.
Yeah.
People want to bury it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People want to remember certain
ways.
Certain rulers over others. Yeah.
Yeah. So as they're leaving this restaurant, though, the narrator notices a single bat in the sky. And
yeah, I was like,
just one.
Just one.
Is that?
Just one, which is odd. But now we're going to move back into Rossi's story via his letters, where he talks a little bit more about his research into Dracula and Vlad. But Paul meets a woman in the library.
First of all, I just have to say this. Why the fuck did they steal his gold cufflinks? I feel like that's kicking a man when he's down.
That's funny.
Like,
oh my goodness.
They stole his research out of his hands and then stole his research out of his luggage and had him moved into a dirtier, stanky room, smaller, stanky room. And they stole his gold cufflinks.
Perhaps that was the tip for whoever moved his stuff.
Oh my God. Can I just say, the fact that Rossi ends all of his letters with "my dear and unfortunate successor," I'm just like, you melodramatic motherfucker.
Yours in grief.
This whole book feels like that, though. It feels very like melodramatic. It's like, okay.
Oh, yes.
You know, when they were going into the monastery, do you know what I thought was going to happen? I thought he was going to get like a blessing for her because he was concerned about them talking about the story or something. I thought he would get a blessing or holy water or something. Like, why go into a monastery and then not even take use of it, right? Like,
yeah.
Unless you feel like it's an evil place to begin with.
Yeah, maybe.
And who knows, maybe religious objects and whatnot don't work on vampires in this world because, again, we don't know the vampire rules.
But what tells me about that, because it's mentioned in the book, is that Rossi and Paul, neither of them use like all of the quote unquote the garlic or the crosses or whatever. Why not just have it just in case?
Just in case, yeah.
Why are you hedging that bet?
There is, like, what's the Boy Scout motto, whatever?
Always be prepared.
Yeah, always
be
prepared. That's what I'm saying. Like, just keep a cross on you, for God's sake. That's what Mercy does. She doesn't have a cross, but she's got her lamb. Yeah. Come on.
I feel like it's academic snobbery.
It totally is. It totally is. I'm so glad you said that because that's all I felt reading this book. As someone who has been in that world, it is kind of infuriating. I don't know, especially Rossi is like the type of professor, he's probably a fine guy, but like at some point I was like, we get it. He's really good at research. Wow. Like,
but is he, if he gives up that easily?
I think he's probably fine at it.
Alrighty. So at this point, we're going back to Rossi's story where it really just talks about his research into Dracula / Vlad. But an interesting part of this particular chapter, chapter 8, is where Paul meets a woman in the library who is reading about Dracula, and she's about to travel to Istanbul.
Yeah. Which is like, girl, don't do it.
Yeah, I was like, okay, first of all, either she is a plant.
Yeah.
She's somebody watching him, or maybe she has her own secret mystery book. Since apparently there's multiple out there. Or, I don't know.
My first thought was she was the narrator's mother.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's the word? Or what was it? Nothing is,
Everything matters or something.
Everything matters. So why would you introduce this woman if she wasn't important?
I also thought she might be the narrator's mother, but I kind of tossed it aside whenever she was a little dismissive of him, and I was like, maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked her attitude a little bit.
Yeah.
He did say, like, when he said, I'm not a ladies' man, I was like, which means you're probably going to end up with her, which also explains probably why, because they never said how the mother died. Mm-hmm. So at first you think she died of like some illness, or my first thought was like childbirth.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think she said that her mom died when she was young. And so I was like, okay, maybe an illness. And now I'm like, yep, Dracula killed her. So.
Or she's Dracula's wife.
Oh,
the bride.
Ooh. You know,
again, not gaslighting. It's just wild theories.
I was like, Dracula's bride. The bride of Dracula. Like, my brain when reading this was literally like, I question this and this and this and this. What if this? What if this? What if this? Sorry, go ahead, Millie.
We can take this out, but why? Maybe I'm crazy. When I was reading it, I was like, she kind of sounds like me a little bit. Like her face description, not her body, but like her face description, I was like, that's kind of looks a little like me.
Her attitude as well. Like, I feel like you would be the first to call somebody out. Like, no.
I was like, she's a little olive toned, could be darker. Yeah, I see.
Lily is the bride of Dracula.
The bride of Dracula.
I think Johann might have a problem with that.
Yeah. Especially since he doesn't believe in Dracula.
Considering that he would probably rather you be the bride of Johann.
Yeah. Not the Johann in the book, though. Because there is a Johann in the book.
I was like, is this Y or J? It's German, so probably J.
Yeah, it's spelled like the German Johann, which is not my Johann. It's with the Y.
So after that, we move on to Rossi continues his story. In this part, we've kind of covered the sum. It goes over his trip to Istanbul, how he had such great luck on the travel over there. And then, of course, very bad luck on the return after having it stolen. After which he vows to move to the United States. He's done. He wants to be transferred there.
And then
I do want to note
he moved to the United States and fuck that shit. I'm moving back to England.
Who can blame him? I do want to point out one thing. He was reading those short scrolls with Arabic calligraphy on them, and he was using the English note that was attached to them, which, one, you're lucky the archivist did that for you, sir. Two, he noted that the scribble on the back was in Latin, which I thought was interesting because at least if he's looking at contemporaneous documents from the 15th century, Latin at that point was not super common in script, in like handwriting, everyday use. At least in this part of the world, it would have been Turkish, Arabic, or actually more likely Persian if you're like well educated, and maybe Greek, maybe like some kind of Hebrew or Judeo-Spanish or something. But I was just really surprised by the Latin. And I was also kind of wondering, if it's Latin, does that mean this is older than the 15th century for some reason? So
possibly.
I just wanted to note that.
Very good catch. Lily also has an incredible list of the contents in order. So very detailed, much more detailed than I am.
Sometimes my very expensive, long drawn out degrees means that I can make a list. A very detailed list.
It is fantastic. I love it. At the end of this, because Rossi makes it seem like he's done with the research, and then he comes back and he says, that he's going to continue, that he chose to continue the research, but that it brought about an immediate, terrifying, and tragic consequence. And then, of course, the chapter ends.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So they're all like fucking cliffhangers.
Like, how dare you?
Which is a little frustrating. I mean, so when they had visited that, the monastery at St. Matthew, and she kind of sees her father's behavior, and she immediately thinks to herself that he's been here before and not as a tourist, and that something happened to him there. So that's kind of where I was thinking that perhaps that's one why he would not get a blessing there if he didn't feel like the place was actually a holy place.
Yeah. Well, this thing,
for sure.
This whole situation made no sense to me. It was his idea to go to this monastery, and then he's like getting all white-faced about this story that the maitre d' tells, and I was like, you, as a vampire researcher, you should have known that story, especially if you've been to this monastery before. And on top of that, he's like super sad the entire time. And I was like, why did you want to come here?
Perhaps she needs to know something from here.
But he doesn't say anything.
Well, I think he knows she's smart enough to pick up on some things. I think he's part of the reason he's taking her to these places is because he's telling the story. And I mean, he doesn't have a reason to go back necessarily besides, well, we're on a trip. We could just go see this place. But I think he's doing it intentionally, obviously.
Yeah, I think there is something intentional. So he actually says that he tells her that it looks peaceful, but is hard and very wicked sometimes.
Yeah.
And so,
which is probably just true about monasteries, even without Dracula as an overarching evil presence.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, if humans are involved,
they had a lot of work to do. I'm just saying they were doing work in those monasteries.
So this is the point. I'm curious. What do you both think about the religious aspects in this book so far? Like what she includes and how they're interpreted?
I don't really think anything of it, more just that it's part of the story. You know, my first thought was I'm not very familiar with Vlad Țepeș or Vlad the Impaler's story in general. It's out of my wheelhouse. It's out of my time period. It's out of my region. But I thought he was made to convert to Christianity, like later.
Based on stories that I've read, he's led crusades for the Pope.
He is incredibly religious, so much so that every time he was home, that monastery was the one that he went to. He felt like he was basically buying his soul back by going there.
Maybe I'm thinking of his father, but just because he's like leading crusades does not mean he believes wholeheartedly in what he's doing. But if he was made to convert at some point, or at least I thought he was, that might have been part of the bargain, right? Like if he was forced to convert, then he has to be part of the crusades as part of his conversion.
That was my understanding.
That's what mine
was. That
okay.
He needed, I think, Hungary and the Pope and the crusades to protect his country. And so in order to get that, he had to also say, you know, I don't know if he actually believed it or not, but I know it was.
No, he did. He absolutely believed it. He absolutely believed in heaven and hell and felt like that. I mean, that was his whole point for that monastery that.
I'm talking about the real Vlad, not
I am. I'm talking about Vlad Țepeș III. That was the monastery is real. That part is 100% real. And no, he was incredibly religious. And that was his way of buying his way back into it is because he was so deathly afraid of going to hell that he felt like that was his way of, and that's why there was always, people thought he was buried there. And that was what history thought. I think they've done research there and scanned no body, nothing. So he is most likely not buried there. But that was why, is because that was the whole intention was for that to be his shield so that he did not go to hell. But he was incredibly religious.
I think it's just, to me, it's a little different to be devout versus to have these things made in your name. You know what I mean? Like a lot of leaders in the past would create monasteries or other religious buildings because that would, quote unquote, like save their soul. But then again, a lot of them do not necessarily profess like a deep belief. But anyway, that's kind of like getting into the weeds of it. But one thing that I do want to mention is that a lot of people don't realize the Holy Crusades, even though they were supposed to be on behalf of the Pope and on behalf of Christianity, are really usually not about religion or Christianity at all. They're about taking lands and taking people's property.
And raping and pillaging and...
Yeah, it's really just a reason to war on certain peoples. And I mean, we're having a whole Holy Crusade right now in modern times right in front of us. It's just a little different. So, but I wanted to point that out as like, just so everyone knows, the Crusades were not really about Christianity.
Is anything in religion? Because typically, isn't that the whole point of religion, is for power and money?
Control.
Oh, at least organized religion a lot of times can end up like that, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people really believe what they believe, but at least in the case of, warring on behalf of God, I think that's a pretty clear-cut case of that's not your God at work.
Yeah. It's an excuse.
Yeah, definitely.
For me, I didn't really look at much of the religious part, because they talk about how, the whole everything we know about vampires from Bram Stoker is maybe bullshit, and they don't even care to carry around crosses or whatever. And yeah, there's this monastery event, which I can absolutely see Vlad doing like bad stuff there. I almost kind of give him an angel. He goes to corrupt people, but I mean, I know he is professed to care about his soul. I mean, you murder people. I don't know if you really care about your soul, but
right? It's like, these people are crazy, because it's like you're just gonna go out there and literally impale people on stakes, and then you're like, but if I buy this monastery because
they said it stinks. Because it stinks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's that fact of, even when you look at nowadays, you get people that think that same thing, that on the one hand, they are so cruel, but on the other hand, blatantly they believe in something enough to fear it. And it's like they think that to bridge the gap between those two is power and money.
Right.
That if you can buy your way out of it. And I think, even for him, he wasn't trying to do good. I think literally it was his way of being like, hey, here's some money so I can go do this crazy shit and come back here and cleanse my soul. And it almost seemed like for him, and this is me just reading into it some, and not from this book, but from the actual history, it almost felt to me like it was his way of being like, I want you as a religious person to guarantee I'm not going to go to hell because I'm giving you this money, like a transaction.
Right.
And so, no, I definitely am not taking up for him. And he was in no way a good person in that regard.
Yeah. No, yeah, I get you. It's just crazy.
My thing, though, I thought was interesting was like, how did his people not revolt?
Because they loved him.
How did he have any people left after he takes so many people?
But the thing is, what the Turks would do to them would be even worse. And at least he kept them at bay. So they actually loved him. They didn't fall into the Ottoman Empire because of him. And everything around them was. So historically, they loved him. They felt like he was a great leader in that respect, because they didn't fall under the Turks. And the Turks, that would have been horrific to fall under that as well. So at least for it was tolerable, I guess, if you could call it that. But
also, how did he have any people left? If he's taken people just for saying it stinks, or because
it was the occasional. It was a dinner show,
It was just the occasional. It's fine. It's absolutely fine.
I'm gonna have to call up my friend from grad school, Adam, because he did his whole dissertation on this region and the Crusades and everything. I'll call up my buddy.
Oh, that would be interesting if he has some details on that. But that also, Now, I know he uses the body of his enemies. And I know, like, at one point,
Yeah.
The Ottoman Empire was coming through and there was just a forest of bodies. And they were like, nope, I'm good.
Isn't that like 40,000?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they just turned around.
Yeah.
They were like, he's killing his own. Let's leave.
But I mean, when you consider psychological warfare, and it worked, they left.
Yeah.
And his country didn't fall.
Right.
Which is, I mean, especially again, when you look at the size of it versus what the Ottoman Empire was back then is.
They're like, you know what? We're good.
Bitch be crazy, we out.
Yeah. Bitch is crazy. We have enough land. Let's leave.
Sure, these people will kill themselves. It's fine.
Going back to the book, I did want to, the last chapter that we discuss in this section is the chapter where Paul tells us about Rossi's friend Hedges. Can I just say, he referred to him as like bovine-like Hedges? And I'm like, the description of this man is actually not nice at all. It's so awful. God, I kind of want to read it. It's so bad.
But do you know who it sort of matches a little bit?
Who?
C.S. Lewis.
Who?
And the timeline matches C.S. Lewis.
C.S. Lewis?
The way that
Interesting.
The way that he describes it, he says, like, I'm going to give him a different name because you would know his name if I said it. And he's more known in the English department. And
Right, yeah. Yeah, I was wondering who it was. I wouldn't have thought of that.
C.S. Lewis, he held academic positions in literature, including one at a school that was in Oxford in 1930, and you could certainly find his works in the library. And if you actually look at him, he does have quite the huge head. Just saying.
A lot of people would say that about me too, but I don't think I'm bovine-like.
No, you are not. I thought he just meant in how he acted.
It says that his... Yes, yeah. He was like, he's very gentle. Yeah. I just thought it was funny. An unfortunate description.
Speaking of the school, when they first said Trinity College, I was like, wait a minute, that's in Ireland, right? And then apparently there's like, I looked it up just to make sure. And there's like,
a lot, right?
There's like 3 or 4. I was like, oh,
yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Now, I did want to note at the end of the last chapter, she did trick her dad into admitting that he had gone to Istanbul as well. So
I think it's funny she tricks him into telling her that, yes, he did end up going to Istanbul. She's a little sneaky.
She is, which I love. I felt like that was very on point for her. But yes, so we get to this.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Exactly. Exactly. And I feel like probably her researching, maybe Vlad at this point has rubbed off some little more rebellious, but this is where she starts to go into her rebellion phase, Brittany. So she is hitting that phase just a little late.
There you go. This is the section where Rossi discovers in the book that the dragon is shaped like a map.
Yeah. Or the map is shaped like a dragon.
Which is also what I put. Or the map is shaped like a dragon.
So what it is that the tale itself points to the unholy tomb. But if you impose the dragon over the map or over like the map of that area, then it actually fits with still the tale pointing towards the unholy tomb.
The unholy tomb of the Turkish killer.
Yep.
The unholy tomb of the Turkish killer.
Yep.
The unholy tomb, first of all, is a great name. Love that. I just love that. I could see how someone would make this into a dragon. Like if you're like the western and the eastern Carpathian mountains kind of like curve into like a serpent-like kind of look. I could see that.
So this is where I need to go back and look to see what he says, what he actually verbally says. Because, we were talking about that before.
Right.
And who knows, maybe that's at the point where he kind of brings Vlad to him somehow.
He summoned him like a demon.
He summoned him Candyman style.
I had it pulled up. I can attempt to look through here while we discuss the end.
Okay.
Here.
Okay. Well, and this is where we have Hedges. So he has his friend coming over and he hears Hedges coming up to his door. And then all of a sudden it's silent. There's no thud. There's nothing. which is odd because of how he's found. You would think there would have been some sort of noise, but he's basically
the only way that would have happened is if he like appeared out of nowhere behind exactly where he needed to be, covered his mouth, bit his neck, and then gently laid him down.
Right.
Like, and he was supposed to have done that so quickly that
it is Dracula after all. So, maybe he has.
And
does he say something?
He leaves a message with him as well.
He does. But what, I guess my question on this is so he says that he will not brook any trespasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that.
That's what Hedges says.
But what is the trespass? Which
to me says, I don't want to be found. Leave me alone, bitch. It's like whenever they talk about the monastery and she's like, remember when you're trying to like capture old things and you come here and you're with 3 friends instead of being alone, or worse, or something like you're alone instead of being with 3 friends, or worse, you're with friends. Yeah. That's how I'm picturing Dracula. Is he's like literally being like, or worse, I'm with friends.
Right, probably. But what do we think that trespass was? Was it in Istanbul that the trespass occurred? The research that he was doing in Istanbul, or just the life of Vlad overall?
I don't know if that's what he considers the trespass. I figured it was a warning saying, quit researching, because if you come to this tomb, that's a trespass and you will die.
Yeah.
That was my thought as well, is like, he hasn't necessarily trespassed yet, but I'm telling you not to, or you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah. But I mean, he kills his friend. So in a way, he's already punished him of sorts, because he could have just thralled Hedges to say that and then let it go.
Yeah, but
he doesn't kill him yet.
A death is more of a warning than a...
He doesn't kill him until he asks Hedges again what happened. And then when Hedges answers him, he dies.
He doesn't, but he has the stroke. So in essence, to me at that point, he kind of dies because he loses the most important thing to him, which is really his ability, his mind and his ability to communicate, because he can't really fully communicate anything at that point. Just a lot of the things that he says are kind of gibberish.
Oh, maybe so.
And so, but yeah, he does eventually technically die later on. But I mean, he really destroys his friend in that moment.
I'm looking back through the chapter and I can't find a moment where he would have said something that would have killed Hedges or would have activated. I'm not seeing anything in just looking back through it, but you might see something that I won't catch. The first thing he says is Hedges. He's like, when he opens the door.
Yeah. I don't think he actually, like, quote unquote said it. I think he was just thinking, and then he goes, I said that out loud, but it didn't put it in quotes. That was the feeling that I got.
Okay.
Maybe Dracula. I don't know.
But yeah. Anyway, this first section has left me with tons and tons of questions. I am questioning everything. And I do hope that we get more information on how the vampires work. Are there more than one vampire? Are there rival vampires? Like, is it just Dracula and his like baby vampires that he made? Or is he the first? Or were there others? And if so, who made him? Anyway.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the question.
I hope he's not the only vampire, because that would be really boring.
Yeah. And are there vampire hunters? And like, I want to know about this book, because I feel like
a Dampier?
They have to be on like opposite sides, the book versus Dracula. And who's controlling the book and how is that working?
But I don't know, but I'm interested.
I guess we will find out as we read along. But at the end of this, she's sitting at a table with her father, and they are talking, and an artist comes up, and of course they keep getting approached by artists, but this one says that he's drawn them, that they're the focus of his painting, and he shows it to her, and she notices in the background a dark figure sitting at a table where
They're being followed.
They're being followed, but she specifically says that table was empty all afternoon.
Yeah, and I was like, can they be invisible? Can they appear to only... This is why I want to know what the vampire's powers are, because I'm like, obviously that is a thrall, unless that means that vampires can come out in sun, because aren't they in the sunlight?
Yep. But maybe not.
I need more.
What if it's just artistic impression? There's no person, but maybe he just added a person there. Just cuts.
Yeah, so throughout the whole book, there's mysterious dark figures that keep following them.
Okay, Lily, as our resident historian and research expert, how did you feel like the author did on the historical aspects of it?
Oh, I mean, so far I've found little issue. I mean, like I said before, this isn't my wheelhouse, so I'm not going to be too critical on it because it's fiction. But so far it seems fine to me. I think she's doing a pretty good job.
Okay. And Brittany, how was the tension? I know it's not a classic mystery in that sense, but
oh my God, the tension.
There is enough mystery that there is plenty of tension. Like, I want the rest of the story. I want to know what happens, and I have all these questions. And for me, that is what makes a good mystery, is if I'm sitting here going, what about this? What about that? Like, if you got my mind going, then yes, you've got me.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it tension, I guess, but the mystery of what happens and what's going on and why this and why that does have my brain working overtime.
Okay. Good. Hopefully it stays that way. I know it's a little bit long in some sense, but I feel like she does a good job of kind of laying it out in a way that's interesting. So hopefully.
I'm excited to read more. I do think it's a little drawn out. I do think she needed a little bit of an editor.
Yeah.
But
to be fair, yeah.
My attention was captured. My attention was captured though.
Okay.
While I say my brain was going, it's the part where she's actually telling the past story that has me intrigued.
Yeah.
I do kind of wish, unless these come in to like major, maybe the ghost woman is something that pops up later, or
right.
something. I'm sure it's beautiful, but I don't need all that.
The descriptions. Yeah, she can get a little overly much with it.
Some description.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Some description is good. It's when the downtime happens, I'm like, my brain it's so crazy whenever I have the questions that when I don't have the questions, it almost wants to shut off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm with you. There's she's what's the word? There's a lot of exposition.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like I said, I think I'm still interested. I'm not bored yet.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, please tell me. Just keep going with the story.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I cannot, like I said, it's almost like reading a new book for me. I can't quite remember, but hopefully in the next ones, it'll kind of she'll kind of get to the story a little bit more and a little away from the descriptions, but
we'll see.
I guess we will have to find out.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll end there. We hope that you'll join us for next week's episode. We'll be discussing the Historian chapters 13 through 24. New episodes drop each week, and don't forget to check out last season's discussion on the Bride duology, available now.
Please remember to like, subscribe, and follow us on social media. That like and follow are super important for us to continue to bring you new episodes each week, so please do so. You can also support us by joining us on Patreon. Thank you for listening to the Midnight Raiders podcast. We'll see you next week.
Happy reading, listeners. Don't stay up too late.